The Young Socceroos have just suffered a 4-1 defeat against Argentina at the Under-20 World Cup. This is obviously not how we wanted this game to pan out, and maybe even slightly surprising given the performance that we showed against Italy in match day one and the optimism that we were taking into this game, thinking that, look, even a similar performance, compared to what we put in against Italy, if we put in a similar performance here against Argentina, maybe we can get a result here. That was the attitude heading into this game, and it's completely fallen apart for Australia in the end. And looking at the group standings right now, as it stands, after 2 games, Australia bottom of the group, 0 points, and goal difference isn't looking great either as well. So, look, we know the best place, third place teams can go through to the knockout phase. So the dream isn't completely over for Australia, but it is looking highly unlikely. We're going to need a massive win against Cuba on Sunday morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, to make sure we have some sort of a chance to get through to the knockout phase. But it is certainly looking unlikely at this stage. We'd love to hear from you guys. What did you make of this game? We're going to first of all talk about the lineup that Australia named, because there were a few big changes made by Trevor Morgan, which I think was maybe just a slight risk, considering that the performance against Italy was pretty good. But James Overy coming in, he was at left back. We did see Daniel Benny shift to right back, so Josh and Sarah was out. Thiago Quintal got the start for Australia. We also saw Jalen Pearman come into the starting lineup as well in midfield. But looking at the way that Australia were playing throughout the entire match, really, the formation, well, not the formation, but the players in regards to what positions they were playing, seemed to keep changing around, rotating around. We saw Battleado at top times, but in that second half, Yuli was playing as one of those top 2 players for a lot of the game as well. So it felt like almost at times the players weren't really sure what position they were playing, or at least that was just a lot of rotation going on, which is, a lot of these players can play several different positions and are very versatile. But it felt like that maybe things were a little bit messy at times. I don't know whether that was just my view as a fan, but I did get that sense. And it felt like maybe we just lacked a little bit of direction and maybe even a focal point up top, especially with Luka Ivanovic benched. I think that was maybe the big call that was perhaps disappointing to see. I think Luka Ivanovic was good against Italy, created some good chances, and I think it was maybe a bit hard done by not to get the start here against Argentina. I think that might have been the call to go for, to start Ivanovic here for Australia, to give us a bit more drive up top, a bit more of a recognised striker up top. Look, Toure, Battleado, Yuli, all those guys were working really, really hard, but obviously just wasn't enough in the end to create quality opportunities. And that's what we really struggled to do throughout this match. Having a look at the stats, these stats come from Google here. You can see just 7 in the end for Australia, 4 of those on target. Possession stats were fairly even. Argentina with a bit more in the end. And you can see those shots from Argentina, 21 shots total, 10 on target, all the way throughout this match. Even when you thought maybe they would sit a little bit deeper, trying to defend their lead, especially when it went 2-1 there in that second half. But they just continued to create the opportunities and really, really test Stephen Hall. Should shout out Stephen Hall as well. He made some great saves in this game. He was stepped up on a couple big occasions. There was a moment early on in the first half where, again, he was maybe under pressure playing it from the back, and we were almost caught out there. But the saves that he made were so important to keep Australia in this game, at the time at least, when those saves were made. But Argentina were just pushing all the way to the end there and managed those 2 late injury time goals. A couple of big moments in this game as well. The referee decisions, the video review was utilised on a number of occasions. And look, I will say, for the 2 first half incidents, so for Argentina's first goal, that early goal there for Argentina, I think that was the correct decision to award the goal. I don't think there was a foul on Esposito. There was a little bit of contact, but it looked like Esposito almost sort of like tripped on himself. So I actually agreed with the referee in that decision, and I actually agreed with the decision to disallow Australia's goal in that first half for Quintal, which was initially awarded, but the video review disallowed it. I thought there was strong enough contact on the defender from the back, from the side. So I actually agreed with those 2 decisions, but the decisions that I did passionately disagree with the penalty decisions in the second half. Australia with 2 opportunities to be awarded penalties, the video review system being utilised and the penalties not being awarded. They both look like penalties to me. The first one, the handball, the Argentina defender sort of leaning back and the arms did come up. And I think because he was leaning back and the arms come up, he makes his body unnaturally bigger. If his arms don't go up in that scenario, the ball possibly even flies past his face. But he's leaning back and the arms come up. The arms come. They might be in front of his body, but because he's leaning back, you know what I mean. He makes his body bigger by bringing the arms up. To me, that's a penalty. I think Australia were unlucky not to be awarded that one. And then later on, I mean, Daniel Benny dragged to the ground on a free kick. That looked like a penalty to me as well. So I don't know. Like, again, I agreed with the referee with those first half decisions, even to disallow Australia's goal in the first half. But the second half, I thought both penalties were penalties for me. I don't know what you guys think, whether I'm just seeing it through my Aussie lens, but that was my view on those two opportunities. And that would have completely changed the game. I mean, Australia could have even potentially gone into a 3-2 lead at some point in that second half. And look, I think the second half changes were good, shifting Daniel Benny higher up on that wing position. That allowed him to get in behind, and he finally got that goal. He missed that great chance against Italy. Finally got his goal here, and Australia finally got off the mark at the Under-20 World Cup in regards to scoring goals. But again, not enough. Pushing towards the end there, but Argentina, they just looked so dangerous every time they went on the counter-attack late on in that second half. And ultimately, we just couldn't find that next gear to go to. That was the thing that was just apparent to me. It wasn't like a terrible performance overall in regards to just the football game itself. It wasn't a terrible footballing display from Australia. Defensively, we were good for a lot of the game again. We just collapsed at the end. But defensively, we did really well. And Esposito and Kikianis with some great defensive interventions as well. But it felt like going forward, we were just lacking that next gear. It felt like there was another level that we could go to. Thinking about the performances that we put in at the Asian Cup earlier this year. Again, in a couple games in that Asian Cup campaign, in difficult situations where maybe we're trailing, and we're still able to step it up and find that extra gear. It felt like that we didn't get that in this game, and that was just lacking for Australia. There was a couple of times of going forward, and the passes were just going astray, losing possession, heavy touches here and there. And it felt like Argentina in the end were just pretty comfortable at the back, holding on and just keeping Australia to just the one goal in the end. So it's really, really disappointing heading into this game, knowing that we really did need to get a result. And we come away with a 4-1 loss here for Australia. It really, really is disappointing. And look, mathematically, as far as I'm aware, we're still in the conversation, at least at this time. Look, we know the top four. There's only 4 third-place teams out of 6 total who can go through. It basically means we have to get a win against Cuba to have any sort of chance. And hopefully we do get that win. But not only do we need to get a win now, we need goals. We need goals. Because, again, looking at that ladder, I mean, 0 points as it stands and -4 goal difference. So it's not looking good at all. It really is not looking good. And it would be disappointing to come away from this tournament without even a point. That would be truly shocking, considering that we won the Asian Cup just early this year. This is a fantastic squad, fantastic group of players. And they have, again, it hasn't been disastrous actual performances from the players and the team. But it feels like, again, just to reiterate, still need to find that extra gear to go to in attack to really show our quality. Because we know we have the quality in the team. It just hasn't quite been shown yet at this tournament. Again, we probably should highlight we're coming up against 2 fantastic opponents in Argentina and Italy. So it was always going to be tough. But it's a shame that results have gone the way they have in the end. Hopefully we can get a big, big win against Cuba on Sunday morning. But hey, that might prove to be a tricky test as well. Cuba got a draw against Italy on match day 2. So we'll see what happens in that game. Maybe we'll see even more changes. Hopefully Australia really do go for it in that game. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Lockie. Hit the like button on the way out. I'll see you in the next one.